My name is Alex Sirota. I'm with NewPath Consulting. I'm the director of NewPath. I've been actually working with Michael O'Neill at Inside as a Service as part of the advisory group for several years now. This is I think the third year of our collaboration together on this work. So I've contributed to some of the best practices that have been published, and I'm really excited of sharing some of our ideas and concepts that we've come up with, and hoping that a wider group of people in Ontario take up these ideas and implement them in their solutions to go to the cloud. Cloud is a very important part of the technology landscape, but it's become transformational for companies, especially small businesses that we work with, to actually scale up and become a growing part of our economy. Cloud is, as the name implies, is a very unusual term. It's a lot of people say that cloud just means it doesn't run on your computer, and small businesses are very busy. They don't usually take time out to actually learn about technologies, and they don't take the time to figure out how it could actually help them. And so, coming to an event like this, they can meet vendors, they can meet subject matter experts, and they can try to figure out how it is that could help them and really get kind of a deep dive into what the possibilities are for their business. It's really a way to spend some strategic time on exploring the notion. The government is interested in growing the Ontario economy, being competitive in the world, being competitive as a way to make their mark and increase the well-being of everybody in Canada, and in particular in Ontario. So the Ontario government actually has a responsibility to some extent to their citizens to ensure that businesses in Ontario have access to this, know about it, and take it up. Canadians are traditionally fairly risk-averse, and there's some statistics that indicate that Canadian companies and specifically Ontario SMBs do not take up cloud as much as other companies, let's say in the United States or other parts of the world. So we've got a little bit of catching up to do, and some of that has to do with our capabilities and broadband access to more remote and rural parts of Ontario. And so the government wants to not just build that capability, but also make sure it's getting used. And cloud is very intensive with bandwidth, and so they have an interest in supporting this effort to really get the word out and make sure that Ontario companies are competitive. And the other thing is that there's a lot of focus on things like new tax laws and regulatory pressures, and so a lot of small businesses say, why are you guys doing this, why are you doing that? But here's a good news story that says, hey, there's a lot of Canadian companies and a lot of opportunity for you to grow, so let's make sure that you guys are aware of this. And so instead of complaining and whining about what the regulatory landscape looks like, here is opportunity for you guys to use this technology for success. Michael's work is groundbreaking in terms of he's probably the only organization in Canada that's doing first-hand research, getting a community together of subject matter experts from small, medium, and large and enterprise businesses, getting them all together in one place, and actually having hands-on knowledge sharing and publishing materials that probably are not available anywhere else. And so I think Ontario recognized that by sponsoring this year, and other vendors have come on board to sort of say, hey, we need to have this agnostic, non-biased material that tells companies the straight goods, so to speak, on what needs to be done in all kinds of different areas, from very early stage to advanced applications. And so it's a bit of like a milestone, I think, for Insight as a Service. From my understanding, the Data Center Dynamics is a trade show for data centers and for companies that are involved with building out this infrastructure. The infrastructure is what houses and enables cloud to grow. And so there's a really good connection in the sense that it's like the data center is like the vessel, and the water or the material that gets poured into it is all these applications and solutions. So it's really, Insight as a Service is the demand side, if you will, of applications, and data centers like the supply side. Basically, we're supplying all this infrastructure to be used, and Insight as a Service is providing the demand for it. So I think it's a nice combination of factors. There is a lot of interest in it from small businesses, and the challenges that they're facing in some ways have changed over the few years. There's less talk about is the cloud secure? Is the cloud, are there issues with data residencies? There's a lot more movement now on companies like Microsoft and Amazon investing in data centers in Canada. And I've learned that, but at the same time, a lot of the challenges of adoption and training and education are still there, and so those are the things that still need to be worked on. And so I'm glad to see that that actually is continuing. Just the sheer landscape and amount of space that Canada has for investment is very well positioned in the 21st century to be a place where companies invest in. So I know Ontario is interested in companies moving here, putting talent here, with all the different political changes happening in the United States. I think America's actually, Canada is actually very well positioned to take advantage of that, and the hope is that there are alternatives, right? And so alternatives for not just American companies, but alternatives for companies all over the world to come to Canada and invest in either opening headquarters here or putting their infrastructure here. And so this is the kind of stuff that these kind of shows that expose vendors to each other is a good potential future.